I'm going to share 10 things that I learned when I quietly checked out. And if you're feeling this too, you are not alone. You may resonate with all of these 10 lessons, and some of them may help you to move past the point where you are right now. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your GenX Big Sister, and I have been talking about pretirement lately. Pretirement is that decade and a half or so before you retire, before you're ready to retire, before you're supposed to retire at the age of 65 or whatever. And I posted some videos on this in the last couple of weeks, and the response has been massive. There are so many of you experiencing the same thing or something similar. Many of you shared how you felt good having a term put to it, a label put on it. You could really resonate with that. And especially to you, my Gen X sister, I know that we specifically are in this interesting phase. And I have to preface this by saying I'm on the good side of it now. I'm over the hump. I'm fully into pretirement, which I consider a practice and a way of life. It's not necessarily a phase. And as I share my 10 lessons, you're going to want to, like, a couple of them are really going to surprise you, and possibly some might rub you the wrong way, and some of them may be like, oh God, yeah, no wonder. No wonder I'm feeling that way. So let's talk about it. I want to be clear on what pretirement is and what pretirement isn't first. Pretirement is not quitting, it is not giving up, it is not losing the game, it is not a failure, it is not stopping carrying your own weight, it is not stopping supporting yourself, being productive, being worthy. It's none of those things. What it is challenging all of those preconceived notions that you have spent your entire life and your entire career basing your actions around. You have been programmed to proceed in a certain way, to be productive, to be worthy, to be a good daughter, wife, sister, mom, leader, employee, team member, friend. You've had all kinds of expectations set on you on what that's supposed to look like. And what I'm going to walk you through today is how pretirement is about letting go of those and designing a life that infuses you with joy and fulfillment, that gives you grace and permission to take rest when you need to reset when you need to. I, I, so many of you have talked about how, like, what your plans are for the next 5, 10, 15 years, with the hope that maybe possibly you will be able to have some sort of a traditional retirement at that point. Maybe not. Maybe it will be redesigned. What broke my heart on so many levels was the feeling that, I mean, it jumped off the screen to me as I was reading your comments about, I just have to keep going until such and such a day or until such and such a year. And in the meantime, I just don't know how I'm going to be able to continue. I'm so exhausted. I am so done. I'm so over it. And just going through the motions and pushing. And that was breaking my heart. And that's why I'm diving into this further and deeper and sort of exposing a little bit more behind the scenes of what this can look like and how it does look like for me. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful for you as well. So lesson number 1, and I think maybe I'll put the lessons right in show notes so you can see what I'm going to be going through. But I want to make sure that you don't miss a single lesson. So lesson number one, when I first started to check out, it didn't feel like relief. And when I first the term checking out can also mean just easing up, taking a break, slowing down. At first, it did not feel like relief. It felt like fear. It felt like, I had guilt and shame over it because I was doing it. I was pulling back and slowing down because I knew that I needed it. It was for me, it was practically life or it wasn't quite life or death, but it was in that realm in general direction. And so when I first started to pull back, when I first started to take a break, I I felt like I was giving in and giving up. It did feel like a weakness, even though I knew it was something that I needed ultimately for my strength. I felt bad about it. Like first it was crashing, like my identity just crashing. Who am I if I'm not this overproducing, overachieving senior vice president of blah 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 and blue 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 and chief operating blah blah blah? Like who was I without? I literally my performance was measured on a daily basis with numbers. In like professionally, I had like number metrics, and many of you can relate to this. That was from a day-to-day basis would tell me if I'm doing good or if I'm doing bad. And like you start to internalize that into I am good or I am bad or I am worthy versus I am not worthy. So it didn't feel good at first. And the relief didn't come right away. I struggled with my identity. I struggled with staying still. I felt like there's a little bit of panic that kicks in when you stay still, when you stop, and really reframing the value of hustle and how I looked at it and how I looked at rest. I'm asking, like, for you, do you ever take a rest, and then feel guilty about it? Like almost instantly, as soon as you take that rest, you're feeling guilty. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that was first lesson number one. And had I given into that lesson, given into the fear, given into the guilt, I never would have gotten the clarity and the brightness that came in time. Lesson number two, my body checked out before my brain checked out. And this is like, considering that I was past perimenopause at this point, although I had my own set of issues during that phase of life. This was early menopause. And obviously, a lot of what I was experiencing physically was definitely menopause related. And at the same time, I think that those physical symptoms and those physical parts of menopause was an accelerant. It was amplifying what I was going through, like, and the struggle that I was having. And so my body was like, I wasn't sleeping well at all. I couldn't sleep through the night. I would wake up several times in the night. I was consistently having little mini panic attacks and sometimes major panic attacks. I had at least two or three really major panic attacks over about a 5-year period. And that was telling me something. And I feel like my body was slowly telling me that you don't feel in alignment with what you're doing. It's not filling you, it's not soothing your soul, it's not it's not making you feel alive and vibrant. It's doing the opposite. It's making you want to shut down. I was consistently gaining weight. Now, again, I think menopause contributed, hormones contributed to that. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I had zero control over it because I had zero pull or compulsion to want to do something about it, to want to lose the weight. Like I knew in my head what I needed to do, like to get back on a track to get healthy again. I had no desire to do those things. And I was feeling more and more disconnected from my body. Like it was feeling different than it had ever felt in my life. I felt different in my clothes. I felt different in how I moved or didn't move. I absolutely looked different, and what I saw in the mirror did not match up with how I saw myself in my mind when I think of who I am. And I wasn't feeling any appreciation for my body at all, or gratitude around it. You know, I mean, my body was has given me so much and enabled me movement and freedom, and I wasn't appreciative of it at all. I was a little bit at war with my body, and also I was kind of giving it the silent treatment. I was like just trying to just totally disconnect and not even think about it. And I was looking for physical comfort through food, the comfort food, and certain foods that would make me feel better, and that's what I was relying on during that season of my life. I wish I had listened to my body sooner. So my question for you with lesson number 2, what what signals is your body giving you right now that it's time to go about this differently? It's time to figure out another way of approaching this life of ours. Like what is it trying to tell you right now? So that was lesson number 2. Number 3, I do think I was burnt out at that time. I was burnt out physically, mentally, emotionally, burnt out from my job. My role, I was part of my role at that time is I was responsible for a network of schools throughout California. And the pandemic hit. And I was part of the very small leadership team that was responsible for setting up COVID protocols for thousands and thousands of people, students, parents, teachers, staff members, etc. It was so unbelievably stressful at that time. I feel like I was functioning in survival mode, like day by day, just trying to survive in that intense time. So my lesson number 3 is, yes, I was burned out, but I was also over functioning, promising too much, doing too much, taking care of too many things that other people needed. And what I've been finding since having this conversation with many of you is so many Gen X women are over functioning right now. When you look at your plate and you look at what's on your plate, you've got like a heaping pile, almost like Thanksgiving buffet dinner. There's just too much on your plate. And instead of letting go of some things, we're actually taking more and more on. So my third lesson is looking at burnout and looking at overfunctioning. I think overfunctioning leads to burnout. Like overfunctioning is the actual act of taking too much onto your plate and not saying no and not making space for things. You're crowding it all on, you're piling it all on. That's overfunctioning. I think that leads to burnout. That leads to a physical burnout. Look at what's on your plate. Where are you? Do you have too much piled on there right now? Where are you constantly being the one that is relied on? I mean, I was I I was taking on things professionally, but I was also taking things on personally. I was trying to support a lot of friends long distance, making sure that they had the connection and support that they needed, during that pandemic time. And I took on the responsibility to keep that going. When do you do that? Like, when are you in a group or in a room and you are like the responsible one? You're like the capable one, the leader, the one that's going to make it happen, the one that's going to take that on, the one that's going to embrace that responsibility to take care of everybody else. Feeling needed and feeling like essential is not the same as feeling fulfilled. It's not the same as feeling aligned. So, taking a look at that, what does your plate look like? Your heaping pile of buffet plate that you lumped everything together. Where is it that you've been raising your hand as, I'm the one to do that? I'm the one that can do that. I can take care of that. Don't worry. And sometimes it's because we think it's easier for us to take it on than it is to let somebody else take it on. And that's not always the case. Lesson number 4 factored into all that. So not only was my current reality hard to deal with, beyond hard to deal with, and it was so messed up and like a pile of wrapped up knotty whatever. Not only did I have that, I was dealing with so much unprocessed grief from my past. I was dealing with unprocessed emotion, unprocessed grief. I was grieving a life that I thought I'd have, that had only somewhat recently became obvious it was not going to happen. I was not going to have a biological family of my own. I've talked about this in other videos, but this is a very key piece of my 10 lessons, because I I had to deal with that, and I had to deal with it, and through a lot of therapy, and through a lot of sharing with others. I actually found that by finding other women, childless, not by choice, like myself, out there, and there's millions of them, millions of us, that's what helped me heal the most, when I just started to hear everybody's stories and how everybody felt. And it was funny because I would hear, like, I'd be on online forums and they would share their reality that was just the depths of pain, the depths of grief, hopelessness. And what it sparked in me was a desire to help them. I wanted to help them see it differently. I wanted to help them address it differently. I wanted to infuse them with hope and optimism. I wanted to help them see, yes, okay, one door slams shut for you. Look at all these other doors that we can open. I wanted to do that for them. And eventually it flipped a switch, making me think, oh, I could do that for me. I could apply that to my own thinking. I can embody this myself. That was hugely healing for me. And it got me to the point of realizing that we all have different paths and we all have joys and sorrows no matter which path we're on. And just because we're on path A and we missed out on path C, it doesn't mean that had we been on path C, our life would be perfect and our life would be all sunshine and roses. It just doesn't work that way. It's all part of our own journey and what we do and what we make of it. But as I tried figured out how I wanted to craft my life right now and going forward, at least for this next season ish, this pretirement practice, I needed to come face to face with this grief. You can love your life and still be mourning parts of it. Very possible. So as you think about this lesson, what parts of your life are you grieving that maybe you haven't given the space and attention to? Lesson number 5, checking out, which consists of stepping back, easing in, slowing down, taking some of those things off letting go of some of those things that were on my plate. What that does, this is lesson number 5, letting me realize how much of my life was optional. That's how much of it was generated by obligation, generated by societal expectations, being like available 24/7 and being the one that's going to get it done all the time. It doesn't have to happen. And making things optional doesn't mean that you're being like too easy, too wussy, too like it's not being weak. It means being negotiable, being flexible. And what is a priority can change at any given time, but giving yourself the space to ebb and flow as you need to. So, I talked to you about that piling thing on all the stuff on your plate, all the things that have been piled on. If you let go of one, what would happen? If you stop just doing one thing, what would happen? And I've had this conversation with a couple of you in DMs, and the response sounds catastrophic sometimes. Like, oh, well, if I stopped doing X, so and so would starve, and if I didn't make dinner every night, my kids would starve. Whatever. If I don't do X, like there's this catastrophic outcome. I'm going to push back on that. Would there be a catastrophic outcome? Is there an alternative to the catastrophic outcome if you let go of something? And if there's one thing on your plate that is kind of like life and death if you let go of it, are there others that aren't? Do you really have to attend every mom group meeting with the school? Do you really have to say yes to every invitation? Like, what is it that you have that you can let go of? And what would happen if you do that? So lesson 5 is sorting through that. Now, these are just some of the things that we work through together in our permission to pause workshop. So keep listening. I'm going to go through it, but unraveling these because sometimes you can't see it yourself. Sometimes you need like an objective third party who doesn't know the people you're talking about, isn't wrapped up and invested in all the family drama, the work drama, the friend drama, to be able to see objectively, hey, you could let go of this, or you could let go of that. Have you considered approaching it this way? So that's part of what we work through together. Lesson number 6, rest. I was confusing rest with falling behind. This is part of our Gen X programming. Rest is weakness. We'll rest when we die, right? Like isn't there literally some sort of quote like that? I'll rest when I'm buried, dead and buried, or whatever. Rest is maintenance. Rest is not a reward. It's not something that you're supposed to earn and work towards. I picked up on so much of this in many of your comments as you were reaching out, as you were telling me sort of your 5-year, 10-year plan of all the things that you needed to do, then you were going to be able to retire, and it's going to be so glorious. You might not make it to that 5-year, 10-year if you don't take some rest. If you don't, oil changes for the car, you don't do it just before it breaks down. You're doing it to maintain it throughout. So this is something you need to incorporate in your life now. It's not something that you have to do A, B, and C, and then you'll do it. I have a question for you. Do you use your sick days? If you're an employee, do you use your sick days and your PTO days? And do you only take a rest when you are sick? Like when you're sick, and maybe if you have a scheduled vacation, are those the only times that you take a rest? And do you give yourself permission to do it? One of the most valuable things that I've learned in the last couple of years is taking my cocooning days. I call it my cocooning days, where I give myself permission to do nothing but what I feel like doing. I might stay in my bathrobe all day. I might binge Netflix. I might, eat a nice meal. I might be alone or with someone. It doesn't really matter. I I give myself permission to not be productive for an entire day, and I plan for it. Like I plan ahead for it. I'll schedule cocooning days and know that it's coming, and I look forward to it when it's coming. And then the day that it's there, instead of having that, what used to happen is I'd be laying there not wanting to get up and binge watching something and just feeling myself spiral down because I'm feeling like, oh God, you're such a loser. Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. It's a nice day outside, or you could be doing your house could use some work. I could be doing a million other things. That's what I used to do. But framing it as my cocooning days, scheduling it, planning for it, looking forward to it, giving myself grace and permission when I have it, what it's done is it's kept me from spiraling. Because in the past, if I spiraled, sometimes those bad cocooning days would turn into multiple days, in a row, where I would feel sad and tired and depressed for a longer period of time. And so this really helped with that by just looking at it in a different kind of a way. Lesson number 7, shame. Yeah, shame. The shame at that time, which I just kind of alluded to when I would have bad days before where I didn't do anything, I would be clouded in shame, like what a loser, why am I giving up? Why am I so weak? And I would push through exhaustion and push past exhaustion just to avoid the shame. It was that strong of a pull that it would make me do that to the detriment of my body, to the detriment of my mind, my mental state, just so that I wouldn't feel bad about it. I would just keep grinding, keep going through the motions, achieve, 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 perform, perform, perform. But even when I would rest, I mean, some of the things that would be echoing in my mind would be like, how come you're not grateful? Like, why don't you appreciate what you have? You have it so good. So many people have it worse than you. So there'd be shame around that. There'd be shame around feeling like my ambition was changing or lessening. And that there was definite shame about that. The shame about feeling like I had no valid reason to slow down and to pause. I mean, I'm not a mother. I'm not a wife. So I have more time and bandwidth, so I should be overachieving. And if I'm not, shame on me. What's my purpose if that's the case? And what I learned, the lesson that came with that, lesson 7 about shame, was that it the shame wasn't about failure. It's not about quitting. It's about it. It was my values have changed. What I value and how I perceive those values has evolved. My vision of what success and happiness and fulfillment look like is different than it was a few years ago. And how can I feel shame about something that feels so right and in such alignment with my heart and my mission and my purpose? So my question to you, mate, what if your like lack of motivation, what if your laziness is actually your wisdom developing and you having a new awareness and a shift in your values and a shift in how you look at what's important in life? Lesson number 8. I started seeing how much of my work was performance. Yeah. As a corporate leader, and I've talked about this a lot in different videos, I I was performing a lot. I was pretending I was in favor of certain actions and strategies and initiatives that I was not in favor of because I was being paid to promote and implement and execute the vision of the very top, the board for a company. So I had to perform for the board in order to be heard, in order to have my ideas come to fruition, in order to be able to take care of my people. I fought hard for the people on my team. So I often had to perform to protect them. I had to perform to get results. I had to constantly be proving myself, constantly be proving that I was worth what I was being paid and that I was valuable in what I was doing. I was performing because as a leader and as an executive, you can't publicly fall apart and you can't publicly wind down and check out and ease up and lean back. You can't do all those things as a corporate executive leader. So I was spending a lot of energy just trying to portray that I was good. I was all good. Everything was hunky dory. Everything was wonderful. Not only was everything wonderful, but I'm going to inspire, motivate you to be wonderful and to perform and to achieve and to produce. How much energy are you spending just to make the people around you think that you're okay and that you're fine? I'm fine. I'm fine. How much energy is being spent on that? Checking out pretirement forced me to redefine my purpose. Prior to this, my purpose was connected to my career and my job title. My purpose evolved into like mentoring, coaching people that who worked for me, but it could look a bunch of different ways. Purpose could be in creating, purpose could be in connecting, purpose could be in community and finding community. It can be, and it can manifest itself in like part-time work or like small work, small businesses, freelance work. Mine actually, I've been supporting myself with freelance work and contract work, doing things that really use my creativity, really use the things that I love to do. And I let go of the stuff that I didn't love to do. I had to redefine what I wanted to do and my purpose. And my purpose now is to help other women who are in the boat that I was in 4 or 5 years ago. Helping midlife, helping Gen X women take the break that you deserve, however that plays out, whether it's taking a very short break, a sabbatical, a gap year, designing your retirement, whatever it takes. I'm now on a mission to make sure that there are other women out there that are getting that support and getting that guidance and know that they're being seen. You're connected to something. There's something that is making you keep doing what you're doing. Like, and if you're feeling burnt, if it's the job part of your life that's burning you out, what would happen if the job went away tomorrow? Many of you in my comments were saying that. Like I was doing the right things. I had been with a company for X number of years, and all of a sudden I found myself laid off, and I'm blindsided and confused. I have no idea what to do other than to just repeat the same thing and try to do the same thing at another company, which is same thing, different place, right? It may not, it might be the answer. It might not be the answer. So what would happen if that job just went away? What would your purpose be at that point? Lesson number 10. Okay, and this lesson is actually where I started to really craft out some of the intricacies of what I go through in the Permission to Pause workshop, where we really talk about designing your pretirement. What does this season need to look like? What can it look like? So lesson number 10 was the future stopped being a finish line. There was no like end of career, retirement age finish line, because that line has become gray and fuzzy. Like financially, it's had to be, because I don't know how long it's going to take me to be financially ready to have no more job, like income producing work coming in. I don't know when I'll get to that point. Traditional retirement might not be a reality for me, and I'm hearing from you, from a lot of Gen Xers, that it's the same for you. Many of you, that's not the case. You're all good. I'm thrilled for you too. Still not a finish line. Unless you're feeling joy and alignment and fulfillment now as you're moving towards that. So it became more of a design challenge. I'm not waiting to 65 to design what I'm doing. And now, like I'm 59. It's my 60th year. That 65 looks really, really close. It's going to extend beyond that. So I want to make sure that I am the highest, best version of myself during these years, that I'm happiest, most fulfilled. And the best way that I'm going to have a positive impact on the external world and all the chaos and madness that's going on out there, is if I'm bringing my full self to the table and I'm feeling really, really good and really, really positive about where I am. So my question for you here, when you think about that, when you think about pretirement as a design challenge, what would you change this year? What would you change about this season of your life if you believed that your nervous system matters? What would you change? So, those are my 10 lessons that I've learned as a Gen X woman who quietly checked out and is now living a very, very happy retirement as a creative, free, connected, nomadic Gen X woman. So, what I want you to take away from this is retirement is a practice. Listen and pay attention to the signals. It often starts with your body and manifests in other ways. It's not about quitting, it's about making tweaks, it's about putting together like a redesign, and not it's not about blowing up your whole life all at once. It's not about changing everything. It's about looking where can you turn the dial and have something slightly different but also more beautiful come up. If this is resonating with you, I want you to really think about joining me for my Permission to Pause workshop. I'm putting the link to that in the show notes here. You can keep thinking about this stuff. You can keep, ruminating over it, uh, or you can give it some intention and put some thought behind it with some action. And that's something that I would love to partner with you. I mean, the Permission to Pause workshop is the first step to designing a retirement for you and with you. We start small. We don't blow up your life. You don't need a 5-year plan. You need, what am I going to do right now? So if any of this has jumped out for you, please leave a comment. Check out the Permission to Pause workshop, How to Design Your Pretirement. I would really, really love to create this space with you and we can work through it together and design it. My name is Amy Palmer and I am your Gen X Big Sister signing out.